Hello, and welcome to this recorded webinar, Set Up Your Xero Trial. My name is Treva, and I'm part of the Xero education team. I really want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to watch this recording. We're happy you've chosen to try Xero, and we're here to help you get up and running quickly. Xero offers a lot of time-saving features that help you run your business more efficiently, and we know you'll want to check those out during your trial. And we're here today to help you set up your Xero organization to get the most out of that trial. So today we're covering a few things. We're going to start with setting up and activating your trial. Then we'll go over entering some basic information about your organization. From there, we'll talk about the chart of accounts and beginning balances. We'll show you how to add a bank account in Xero and get started with Xero's bank reconciliation. And we'll touch on some other things along the way. And then we'll close off with how to convert your trial to a paid organization and give you some next steps and resources so you're set up for success. As I mentioned at the start, to get the most out of your trial, you'll want to make sure you have your organization set up correctly. So that means getting the right settings in place so that your accounting is set up in the way that works for your business. That will let you better explore all the time-saving automation and cool stuff that Xero has. The first thing we need to do is talk about when you should start using Xero. We call this converting to Xero. So when you start using Xero, you need to set a start date. In Xero, we call this the conversion date. We recommend that you set the conversion date as one of the following: the date your business starts operating, or the beginning of a financial or fiscal year, or the beginning of a sales tax period. Let's take a closer look at each of these options. You can set the conversion date as your business start date if your business is brand new. That means you haven't had any transactions yet and you're just getting set up. So, for example, if you started doing business on August 1st, 2023, you would set your conversion date as that. If you've been in business for a while, but you want to kick off a new year in Xero cleanly, you could set your conversion date as the beginning of a new fiscal or financial year. In the US, the default fiscal year is the same as the tax year, which runs from January 1st to December 31st. This means you'll have a complete set of accounts for the fiscal or tax year all in one system, and that will keep your accountant happy. The last option is for those of you who might already be in business and you're well into the fiscal or tax year. You can set your conversion date to the start of a sales tax reporting period. You can choose this option if you're okay with only having part of this year's data in Xero. If you're moving from another system, you'll want to make sure you continue to have access to the partial year data in your previous system in case of future tax audits and also to do your tax return. So, for example, if you are filing your sales tax returns every 3 months and you've just finalized your April, May, June return, we would suggest setting your conversion date as July 1st. So now that we've covered when it would be a good time for your business to convert to Xero, let's talk more about your Xero trial. When you click the Try Xero for Free button on the Xero.com homepage, you'll be asked to put in a little more information like your name, your email address, and your phone number. Enter that information in, and then verify that you're not a robot and read and agree to the terms of use. Then you'll need to confirm your email address. Just click the button at the bottom that says Next Confirmation to start that process. The reason we go through this extra confirmation step is that if you set up a trial just to check out Xero and you want to stay with Xero, this trial will become your actual Xero organization. Whatever you do in this trial organization will continue as you go forward, so you don't have to start from scratch with a whole new organization. To make that work, we have to go through a little extra verification process. We don't want a bunch of bots creating organizations in Xero, so we just need to make sure you're a real person. Once you've clicked the button to confirm your email, you'll see a screen letting you know that an email has been sent to you. From there, go to your email and open the email that Xero has sent to you. In the email, there will be a big blue button that says, "Yes, it's me. Let's get started." Click on that button and you'll be brought back to Xero. The last step before you get into your new Xero organization is to create a password. Enter it here and click Activate Your Account. Like I mentioned, we'll want to do some setup for our organization, and Xero is going to help us get started with that right away. Put in the name of your business, what your business does, where your business pays taxes, and whether or not you have employees. Confirm you're not a robot, and then you'll have 3 options. If you are currently using QuickBooks and you want to use our free conversion tool, there is a button at the bottom that will take you through this process. Please note, this is the only time you're able to use this service to convert from QuickBooks. You cannot use the conversion service if you click Start Trial. So if you want to convert from QuickBooks, click the See Details button at the bottom. From there, you'll be asked for your data from QuickBooks, and there is a link on this page to the pre-conversion checklist. This is a list of all the things you need to have done in QuickBooks for the conversion to work smoothly, and it tells you information about the files you can upload. I recommend checking it out before you upload your QuickBooks file. Once you've uploaded your file, the team at JetConvert will convert your data from QuickBooks to Xero. It usually only takes a few days. If you are going to be doing business in QuickBooks while that data converts, there will be data missing from Xero after the conversion. Make sure you complete the process of your conversion as soon as possible, as soon as you hear back from JetConvert that it's ready. That way, the amount of data you need to manually enter will be small. If you wait a full month, you'll have a full month's data that has to be entered manually, and no one wants to do that. In this session, we're going to talk about setting things up manually. So for us, instead of clicking the button to convert from QuickBooks, we're actually going to click the Start Trial button. And that is where we're going to pick up in Xero. Here we are in Xero, and this is the trial organization that I set up. We're on the dashboard, and this is where you'll land when you log in. We can see the setup guide right here. I'm going to hide that for the moment since I'll be showing you these steps myself. Once you're up and running, this dashboard will give you a summary of important information about your business all on one page. You can easily edit the layout at any time, change the order of the tiles, hide the tiles by clicking Edit Dashboard up here on the right. In Xero, we have this blue banner across the top of every page, which is how you navigate around Xero. Each of the tabs across the top has a drop-down menu except for Dashboard. If you select Dashboard, it just brings you back to this page. The Business tab displays everything you need to run your business, like invoices you need to send to customers, bills you need to pay, and things like checks you might need to write for your business. The Accounting tab is where you'll access reporting to see how your business is performing, amongst other features that your accountant or bookkeeper, if you're using one, might access. The Projects tab will show up in your free trial, and then if you continue with Xero, it's in the Established plan. Xero Projects is where you'll keep track of work that's done on a job-by-job basis, like consulting projects, so you can see if the jobs themselves are being profitable. And the Contacts tab is where you can create and manage your customers' and suppliers' contact information and view their past transactions. To start setting up our organization, we want to go to the Organization Details section, which we'll find by clicking the name of our organization and then going to Settings. On this page, we're going to start by clicking Organization Details. You're probably only going to need to do these steps once and won't have to do it again unless some of these details change. So in your organization details page, these are the basic settings of your business. The display name is the name that will appear in the top left corner. For this one, I'm going to leave it as Tom's Prints. The legal or trading name is what your business is legally known as, and this is the name on your financial reports and invoices as required by the government. So this one is called Tom's Prince Film and Photography, LLC. So that's what we're going to put in there. Underneath that, you can upload your business logo. Just select Upload Logo, browse, find the logo that you're looking for, double click or click Open, and it will pull onto this screen. You can choose if you want to use this logo on invoices and other documents that you send to clients by just making sure this checkbox is checked, and then we'll click Upload. Your line of business is where you put a brief description of what your business does. So I set this up earlier, but I could go in and I could start typing in whatever it is. And let's say that I change this to photographic services. That's a little more broad. The organization type of your business depends on the setup of your business. So this is an LLC. Technically, this is actually a partnership between two people, but just choose the one that is closest to your organization setup. Underneath that, we're going to put in our registration number, our EIN, those kinds of things that we might want to have on hand to put in. And then we're going to put in a description. Now, you don't have to put in a description, but I'm going to go ahead and put in what my organization does from there. Underneath that, we're going to put in contact details, postal and physical address, telephone, email, website, all of that. And we can even add a contact field. So if you have social media that you want to have in here, you could put that as well. Say you had a Facebook or a Twitter or a LinkedIn. And then once you have all that in, just click Save. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top. I'm actually going to use my little breadcrumb link right here and go back to organization settings. And I'm going to click on users. Now, I don't recommend you actually inviting users in right at the beginning of your setup, but there's something I want to show you that is important. When you are setting up, a lot of times in your trial, you'll notice that underneath your name, it will say standard user permission. That is going to limit some of your access. So on the right-hand side, click the three-dot button and then click Change Permissions. From here, set yourself to Advisor. There are multiple user levels available in Xero. Advisor is the one with the highest level of access. If you're the person who is setting all of this up, you want to have advisor level access. So click on that and then click Update Permissions. When you are ready to invite a user, it's really simple. Just click Invite a User, put in their first name, last name, email address, scroll down, and then in the business and accounting section, this is where you'll give people access to Xero proper. You can give them access to only create invoices, and then actually you can set it to draft so that they can only create a draft invoice and they have to send it to you to sign off on. You can give them standard permission, which lets them do things like bank reconciliation, approve those invoices and bills, but it doesn't give them the highest level of access to be able to do everything across Xero. That's what advisor level access does. If there's someone in your life who just needs to be able to read reports and see things, but they don't need to be able to edit anything, that's where you would put them at read only. Once you have their options set up, hit send invite, and they will get an email that will invite them into Xero. They just need to click the link and set up their own password. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit cancel, but that's where you would do that. But I can see I am now set up as an advisor in my organization. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to accounting and then advanced. I'm going to look for the one that says financial settings. And this is important because we want to make sure that our financial year end is set up properly. Now, you might think of this as your fiscal year or your reporting year. They all mean the same basic thing. So if you are a brand new business and you're just going to follow the default for the US, that is a January 1st to December 31st fiscal year. That's how everything is kind of set by default. If you've been in business for a while, you may be working on a different fiscal or financial year. If you're not sure, you can run your prior year financial statements and it will have the date on there. So, say for your balance sheet, it would say as of, and then it might say August 31st or as of June 30th or whatever. If it's for the full year and it's got that date on there, that's your fiscal year. So you would change that here. The next section is going to say, are you charging and collecting sales tax? Now, if you live in a state where you don't have to do that, just none. Don't have to worry about it. If you are in a state where you do have to do that, choose your basis, put in your tax information and how often you're filing. And then Xero is asking underneath that, on your invoices and your quotes and things like that, are you already including sales tax in your sale price? If you are, you would set this little default to tax inclusive. What that's going to do is it's going to make sure that that tax is included in your sale price when you put it on an invoice. If you are doing tax exclusive, which is that thing where you grab an item off the shelf at Target, you go to the register, it said $10.99 on the price tag, and now it's $11.46 because of tax, right? That's tax exclusive. If that's what you're doing, change it to tax exclusive. For purchases, we have the same option. So if you do, for whatever reason, have to keep track of the sales tax that you pay to other people, you can set that up here to show either the sales prices that we're putting in, like this is how much we paid for it, already includes tax or doesn't include tax and is added on top. Underneath that, we've got a thing called lock dates. This stops information from being changed in a previous period, especially after, say, financial statements or sales tax returns or maybe income tax returns have been filed. You can set this up so that no one can backdate anything either by accident or go back in and change something after all of that has been done. The bottom is your time zone. You do want to make sure that this is set up properly for your location so that you have a good audit trail. So this is going to put a date and time stamp on every transaction that you actually do in Xero, which is really, really handy to be able to track what happened at any given time. So I'm going to set my time zone here, and then I'm going to hit save. Xero will always tell you once things have been saved and it's safe to move on. Now that we've got our financial settings in, let's talk about our chart of accounts. One of the things that an accounting software does for you is help you keep track of what happened in your business on any given day. If you made a sale, if you bought something, if you made a payment on a loan, anything that happens in your business that has monetary value has to be recorded. And that's what Xero does. It's where you record what happened. The way that Xero keeps track of each transaction is by using the chart of accounts to sort the transactions into categories. An easy way to understand what the chart of accounts does is to imagine using a filing cabinet. In a filing cabinet, we have different drawers for different types of transactions that we have in business. We have a drawer for revenue, what you earned from running your business, a drawer for expenses, the costs you incur from running your business, one for assets, the things that your business owns, one for liabilities, the things that your business owes, and equity, the owner's stake in the business. For example, if the business spends money and we need to categorize it, we might put that into the expenses drawer. Sales made to customers might be put into the revenue drawer. Now, these are high-level categories. When we're talking about the chart of accounts, what that is the next level down. So the individual accounts are like file folders contained in each drawer. Once transactions are categorized correctly, you'll be able to run reports for your business and see where money is being received, what the sources of your revenue are, where that money is being spent, how much is being spent in all the different areas, and all of that information will help you make good business decisions. The list of accounts you use to categorize transactions is called your chart of accounts, and it needs to be relevant to your business. So let's go take a look at the chart of accounts and see how we go about making adjustments if it's not relevant. To get to the chart of accounts, I'm going to go to Accounting, Advanced, and then I'm going to select Chart of Accounts. Now, Xero comes with a default chart of accounts, and the default chart of accounts has the most common types of accounts used in Xero. If all of this is new to you, we do recommend that you use the default chart of accounts because that makes it less confusing and it's going to help you get started faster. If you've been in business for a while and you have a chart of accounts already, you can import your chart of accounts and replace the default one. Just download the template that comes in the import screen, fill in the details, and then import the file. Now I'm going to keep the default chart of accounts for this organization. It's showing me a list of all the accounts that are set up for this organization. And across the top, I can sort them by assets, liabilities, expenses, all of that kind of stuff. Now, I might want to make some adjustments. So if I look through here, I see bank service charges, but I don't see any credit card fees. And if I'm accepting credit cards, I might need to account for those credit card processing fees as well. So what I might do is come into bank service charges and add bank and then change this to bank and credit card charges. And then actually I'll change this to bank and credit card fees because that just makes more sense. And I might even change the description here just so that we're all on the same page about what this is. So bank and credit card, and then I'll probably change this to fees as well. Then I'll click save and I'll be done. Now, if I go through here and I think, oh, there's some things in here that I might need to have that I don't have already, like maybe I need to travel for business and I don't see a travel account on here. Something that I might want to do is come in to the top and click add account. Now, when I do this, Xero is going to ask, what kind of account is this? Is this a revenue, an expense, an asset, whatever? The account type actually determines where in the reports this account will appear. So, for example, advertising is an expense, and so it's going to show up on something like our profit and loss income statement, which is right here. And this little guide on the right-hand side tells you where these accounts land on individual financial statements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in travel, and travel is an expense. So I'm going to type in EX, and it's going to bring me to expense. Then I'm going to put in an account code or number. Now, if you're working with an accountant or a bookkeeper, talk to them when you go to set this up, because I can guarantee you there is a system to those accounts. Now you can see behind in here, all of my expenses, with the exception of the costs at the top, start with a 6. So I'm going to keep in that vein. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in, say, 6360 as my account number. When I tab out of it, Xero is going to tell me if that's available. Then I'm going to give this a name. So I'm going to say travel expense. And once again, maybe I want to put in a description. I'm going to skip that for now. Underneath that, it is going to ask about a tax rate. I actually recommend not messing with this unless you absolutely have to. Here's the thing. Xero is set up so that when you put an invoice or a bill together, when you put the account onto that invoice or bill, it will pull a default tax rate to account for those taxes. Now, my business here does not have to keep track of the tax that we're paying to our suppliers. So what I'm going to do is just leave this at tax on purchases, 0%, and then I'm going to hit save and set that up. It's really important that you get the chart of accounts set up in a way that makes sense to you and that all of the accounts that you want to track expenses, revenue, all of that are set up properly. Now, while we're in the chart of accounts, I'm actually going to take you through how to set up a bank account in Xero because that's a different process. So from here, I'm going to click Add a Bank Account, and it's going to give me a list of some of the more popular banks in the US. Now, why is it giving me this list? Why does it care about what bank I'm using? Xero has this functionality called bank feeds. It's where you can connect your bank to Xero, and overnight, as money comes into or goes through your bank, that always processes overnight, everything that gets processed will actually be pushed out of your bank and pulled into Xero, ready for you to do your bank reconciliation. That means you can do your bank reconciliation on a daily basis. So you can choose one of these banks. We know we have bank feeds for those. If your bank is not on this list, just start typing and it's going to start updating the list of banks. So let's say that I'm using State Bank something something. Let's go through and just say that I'm using, I don't know, one of these. I'm literally clicking randomly as I go. So if I clicked on that one, it would take me to a place where I could set up the bank feed. I'm going to go back because that's not a bank I want to use. But let's say that I was using something like Colorado State Bank. Colorado State Teachers Credit Union. It's not finding Colorado State Teachers Credit Union. Now, full disclosure, I'm pretty sure I made this bank up. But if your bank does not appear in the list when you're searching for it, it's going to give you an option to say add without bank feed, and that's perfectly fine. When you click add without bank feed, you're going to start putting some more information in about your bank. You're going to set up your bank account and you're going to manually import your bank statements instead of being able to connect it to your bank. And there's nothing wrong with that. For those of you who do have a bank feed available, just click on the bank that you want to connect, and it's going to take you to a page where you can log in and connect your accounts. So you will need to log in using your online banking username and password. Once you get all that set up, it's going to connect, and it's going to start bringing those bank statement lines in once it gets set up. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit skip, and I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. So I might put in the name of the bank, Capital One Checking, and I might even put the last 4 digits of the bank account number just so I can quickly see which one's which. Because if you have multiple bank accounts, it's an easy way to just identify which one is which as you're scrolling through. Then I'm going to tell Xero what kind of account this is. Now, this is a checking account, which Xero identifies as everyday, day to day. If it was savings, if it was a credit card, I would put that in here as a bank as well. So I would just choose credit card. Because this is checking, I would hit everyday, day to day. Now you can put in your bank account number here. If you do that, it will be visible to anyone who has the ability to do bank reconciliation. So it's up to you, put it in, or do what I do, which is put in a bunch of asterisks and then the last 4 of the number. It also asks for an account code. Again, this is going to go on that chart of accounts. So if you're working with an accountant or bookkeeper, talk to them about what number to use. I'm going to use 1000 because I know that's one that I can use for this. If I needed to set up other bank accounts, so credit card accounts, anything like that, I could hit save and add another. I'm just going to do one for now, so I'm going to hit save and continue. Now it's added this to my chart of accounts, and by default, it will add it to my dashboard. And you'll see there's this button here that says Get Bank Feeds. So at any point, I can go back and connect that bank feed if I decide that I want to. Even if you do connect a bank feed, though, it's a good idea to know how to manually import a statement because maybe there's a delay. Maybe you log in and connect your bank feed and it takes a few days to get that up and running and it doesn't pull in all of the transactions that you need. Maybe your bank doesn't have a bank feed and you just need to know how to import a statement. How do you do that? On one like this, it will say manually import a statement. But if your bank doesn't have a feed, just click the three-dot button right here and click import a statement. So what you'll do is you'll download a bank statement from your online banking, and you can choose the file type. So depending on what your bank has on offer, they might have an OFX type file. If you can get that, get that. It's great. If not, you can get QFX, QIF, QBO. If you can get a CSV, that's awesome too. Just know if you use a CSV, you need to download the template right here and then fill in the template with the information from your bank. What I'm going to do is I'm going to import my bank statement. Now you could go through and select and upload just like we did with the logo. I just dragged the file from my computer and dropped it right in here. The first time that I import a bank statement, Xero might ask me to make sure that all of my fields are set up properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and make sure that things like date, transaction date, amount, transaction amount, payee, etc., etc. Now I have a couple of extras in here because I already had this one set up. So I'm just going to go through and add those in. You may not have those particular options. So if you don't have any extra columns, don't sweat it. Just go through and add in what you have. Then you'll click next, and then you'll click complete import. It's going to import those bank statement lines into Xero's bank rec screen. I'm going to close out some of these little help things. It's going to leave my Get Bank Feeds button up here. And now I'm ready to reconcile. Now I'm going to be honest, I don't have any transactions in here to reconcile. So just to be able to show you how this works, I'm going to switch over to my demo company. You also have access to Xero's demo company during your trial. If you want to try the demo company, you can go from your organization to the very bottom. It's kind of hard to see, but you can click My Xero. This will take you to a page that looks like this, and you can click Try the Demo Company. So I'm going to close this one, and then I'm going to try the demo company. Now, the demo company is full of fake data. It's full of information, just like this was a real organization that had transactions and was going through and doing its daily business. It's going to give me some little help windows. I'm going to hide those for this, but if you're new, check them out. There's some really good information in there. Now, to get back to my reconcile screen, right from the dashboard, I'm going to click reconcile. And from here, I'm going to take you through some information about how Xero handles bank reconciliation. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a column. On the right-hand side, you'll see a column. And the way that this is set up is every bank statement line that I import manually, like we just did, or that comes in through a bank feed, every movement of money that went into my bank or out of my bank is going to show up on the left-hand side of my screen. On the right-hand side is the place where I can either find the transaction that I've already created that accounts for this movement of money, or I can create that transaction if I haven't created one yet. That's what bank reconciliation is. It's showing, here's the money that moved into or out of my bank, and then saying, this is how I accounted for that money in my accounting system. This is a thing that's important so that you can show how you earned that money and where you spent it if you get audited. So this is a really important part of doing your accounting. Now, Xero is going to help me do my bank reconciliation by reading all of the bank statement lines as they come in, and it's going to look for an exact match that indicates I've already created a single transaction that accounts for this thing. So right here, I spent money on check 1236. I spent 1181.25. Xero searched through the entire organization and said, hey, we have a bill that you paid on check 1236 that was exactly 1181.25. I think that this is the bill that you created to account for this money that you spent out of your checking account. And if that's correct, all I have to do is hit OK. How easy is that? It says you received money for an invoice. I hit OK. Really easy, right? So if it didn't pull something onto the screen, it might be that there's more than one transaction that's being paid on this particular payment. So what I might see is something like this $4,500. From here, I can click Find and Match. I don't have to leave this screen. I can search for all of my Smart Agency transactions, hit Go, and then it says, hey, you have these two. I check the boxes. Yep, that $4,500 was used to pay these two bills, and I hit OK. If I need to be able to create a transaction because I have not created one yet, all I have to do is start typing Central City Parking. I can add them as a contact on the fly. I can choose what account this goes to. This is actually going to go to my travel account. And I'm going to hit OK. Now I can put in more information about it if I need to, but I'm just going to hit OK. And that's the basics of bank reconciliation. Now, at the top of our screen, we do see some balances. We haven't entered any beginning balances into Xero, so our numbers won't be correct until we do that. So let me switch back over into my trial organization so that I can show you how that works, okay? So I'm going to go back to Tom's Prints, and now we're back in my organization. If I click on reconcile, it's going to take me to that same screen, just with different information. So from here, I would go through and create or find those transactions. But like I said, my balances are not going to be right. And that's because we haven't put in our beginning balance. So my bank statement balance right now says that I'm overdrawn by $1,845.74. But if I look at that and I say, that's not what my bank balance is, how do I get that to be correct? Because this balance should match what I have in the bank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Accounting and Advanced, and we're going to put in our beginning bank balance. To do that, we're going to go to Conversion Balances. And the first thing we want to do, the very first thing we want to do is we want to click right here where it says conversion date. This is the date that you start using Xero. Now we talked about this. This is your start date, right? So we talked about how it could be the beginning of a sales tax period. It could be the beginning of your fiscal year. It could be the start date if you're just getting started. Whatever it is, that's what this is. You're essentially drawing a line in the sand and you're saying from this day forward, whatever day I put in here, we are only using Xero and we're going to stop using whatever our old system was. When I come in to set my conversion date, I will choose when I went live. So let's say that I went live August 1st, 2023. I would set that right here. Please note there is no day field here. There is just month and year. So your start date will always be the first calendar day of the month. That's it. Once I have that in there, I can hit save. And it's going to show me, it says enter your account balances as of, and then it says July 31st, 2023, because you should have stopped doing business in your old system on July 31st. If you're a brand new business, you won't have any starting balances or conversion balances to bring across because you're starting out. You won't have any activity. If you're coming from another system, you will have more balances than just the bank balance to put in here. And that's to make sure that your reporting is accurate. Until you get those balances in, your reporting won't be accurate. We do recommend talking to one of our small business onboarding specialists to get these balances entered. Now, if you're not sure who to reach out to, check your email. You're going to have an email that looks something like this. Mine has a discount code in here. It's probably not still current, but you can try it if you want to. But you can check out this email. This email is going to come from a real person. You can set up a call with them, clicking this little schedule a 15-minute call link right there. You can reply to the email, ask any questions you have, and they can actually help you with setting up things like your balances or any other part of your Xero organization. So make sure that you look for that email and reach out to them when you get to the part of entering your balances. Now, the one that I will walk you through is actually your opening bank balance because, like I said, your bank statement balance in Xero is not going to match what you have in your bank until you put that balance in, okay? So to do this, you need to know the balance you had in your bank this day. So mine says July 31st, whatever date pops up here after you put in your conversion date. So log into your online banking, grab a bank statement if you have a paper statement or PDF or whatever, and you're looking for the closing statement balance that you had on that day. Now, if you had money in the bank in a checking or savings account, you're going to put that into the left-hand column. So what I would say is if I had, say, 25, 8, 25, 32 in my bank on that day, I would put it in right here. If I was overdrawn and I didn't have money, I would put that into the credit side. So I put that on the right side. Maybe I had set up a credit card. I would put that into the credit side as my balance by default. Once I have this in here, all I'm going to do is click save, and that's going to update here. It's also, if I go back to my dashboard, it's going to update my balances here as well. So going forward, if I put that in right and I have all of my bank statement lines in, it's going to show me my correct balance. Now that's an overview of some of the basic settings in Xero, but there's still a few things that I want to take you through before we wrap up. One of those is that if you log out of Xero, when you log back in, you're probably going to be prompted to set up multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is a security feature that helps us keep your data safe. It combines something you know, like your password, with something you have, like your cell phone or computer, to verify that it's you logging in. To get started, click the Set Up Multi-Factor Authentication button on the screen that should pop up when you log in. You'll choose your authenticator app. Now, if you don't have a smartphone, you can use your computer instead. Just click the link at the bottom of the page that says don't have a smartphone. If you do have a smartphone and you already have an authenticator app, because a lot of other things like banks require authentication, you can use that. Maybe you already have Google Authenticator. If you don't have any of that, you can use Xero's app. It is called Xero Verify, and you can get it in the App Store or in Google Play, depending on what kind of phone you have. Once you get the app on your phone, open it up and you'll use the app to scan the QR code on the screen, and then you'll follow the prompts that you're given. You might just click continue here. You might enter a code and then click continue. Just do whatever it says. And then from there, you're going to add in a backup email address where you can verify your identity, or you can set up security questions to answer. And those are in case you do have any problems logging in. Now let's go back to Xero and talk about setting up invoices. We know that invoicing customers promptly and getting paid quickly is a big part of many small business operations. So we want to go through and talk about how to set up professional looking invoices. To do that, we need to get back to the organization settings screen. So we're going to click the name of our organization and go to settings. From here, I'll click invoice settings. Invoice settings is where you can personalize your invoices to suit your business needs. At the top, we have new branding theme, and you can create different templates for your invoices. So if, say, you sold items on a website to the public, but you also sell items to wholesale suppliers, and you want to have different invoices that you send to each type of customer, this is where you would do that. You would click create branding theme, and you would start a new one. By default, your Xero organization will come with a standard branding theme already here. If you want to edit this one, just click options and then edit, and you can absolutely use this one. Also, because I checked that box when I uploaded my logo, it's already showing up on my branding theme by default. So I'm going to go to options and edit. And from here, I can change all kinds of things. I can change the margins. I can change the fonts and font sizes. I can change the names of the documents that I'm sending to my customers. I can choose different things that are shown or hidden on my invoices. I can subtotal my taxes, whatever I need to do. There's some things that you want to make sure you have filled out though. So one of those is on the right-hand side here, you want to make sure that you have contact details in here. So things like address, you might have a phone number, you might have an email, all of that in there. Another thing that you might want to set up, and this is important if you are sending out invoices and then people are paying you using like a check or some method where they need to know, how do I get this payment to you? Down here, there's a thing that says terms and payment advice. You can put in a line that says make checks payable to, and then put in the information. You can put in like where to send it. If you were using some other way of getting paid, you would put that information in there. So like make sure that's all in there. If you're an organization that sends out quotes, there's also things that you might want to put in as terms on quotes. So you might put in something, and I'm going to copy paste this one. You might put in something that says like, this quote is an approximation and the price is subject to change until the quote is accepted. So that way, if somebody delays in accepting their quote, they have an understanding that the price is subject to change unless they have accepted that quote. I'm going to save this, but before I do that, I do want to mention, if you don't put in your terms and payment advice here, it's not going to show up on any of your invoices. So make sure that you have it here so that people have an idea of how to pay you. Now I'm going to hit save. Other things on this screen, where it says default settings, this is where you can do things like set up default due dates. If you give your customers a standard amount of time to pay you, so maybe you give them until a certain day the following month. Maybe you give them a certain number of days after the invoice date. So I created the invoice on the 30th and it's due within 30 days of that date. Whatever it is, you can type that in there. I'm going to say that's what I do. I give people 30 days. If by default your suppliers give you something like that, like a lot of times you'll get a bill and it will be due 30 days after the bill date, you could type in that there. And what's going to happen is it's going to automatically populate these due dates on invoices, or in this case, bills, when you go in and create those invoices or bills in Xero. Underneath that, it's going to ask about your invoice numbers. Now, if you are coming from another system and you have been sending out invoices, you may actually already have a numbering system that you just want to continue. So you can change the number here to be the next number in sequence. So if the last invoice you issued from your prior system was invoice 153, you might come in here and put in 154 right here. That's just to make sure that there's not a break in your numbering system to confuse you or anyone else. If you're a new organization, you might want to leave it at 1. You might not. It's up to you. I don't know. But I'm going to leave mine at 1 because this is a new organization. At the bottom, if I am sending out quotes, I might want those to expire after a certain number of days because I don't want to have prices dramatically jump on me and then I'm having to eat those costs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this, and this is going to give people 21 days, 3 whole weeks to be able to go in and accept or decline that quote. That's plenty of time. Next to that, we have payment services. Payment services are things like Go Cardless, Stripe, and PayPal that help you collect payments faster and easier. If you send out invoices to your customers, setting up an online invoice payment service means a big green button or a clickable link will be on the invoice. Customers can click that link to pay using one of these payment services, and this is actually where you can go in and set up those payment services. We also have a really handy tool that automatically emails customers reminding them that their invoice is either coming due or is overdue, and that's called invoice reminders. In here, you can turn on the functionality, set up the reminder that you want to send. You can customize when you want these to go out, customize the wording of the email, which is actually pulled in from a template. Um, Customize it to your heart's content, and then save it. And that way it will go out based on the due date of the invoices. You can also turn invoice reminders on and off for individual customers. Now, we're not going to go through payment services and invoice reminders in this webinar today, but I definitely recommend checking those out because they are both very, very useful in getting paid faster. Once you have your trial set up, make sure that you use it. That is important. You want to make sure that you're using your trial. Enter your transactions as they happen in your business. Connect your bank feed or import your bank statement. Do bank reconciliation. When your trial is close to being up, you want to choose what plan you want to use going forward if you decide to stick with Xero, and set up how you're going to pay for your organization. At the top of the screen in Xero, you'll see a banner like this one, and it's going to let you know how many days are left in your trial, and it has a button that says choose a plan to buy. Just click that button. From here, you'll choose a plan to use going forward. We have 3 plans to choose from. Let's talk about the plans that you can choose from. The first plan is called the Early Plan. It lets you send 20 invoices and quotes, enter 5 bills into Xero, reconcile any number of bank transactions, and use HubDoc, which is Xero's data capture tool. Now, we don't go over HubDoc in this webinar, but I definitely recommend checking that out if you have a lot of bills that you need to bring into Xero. The early plan is ideal for you if you are self-employed or you don't have any employees. Maybe you're a freelancer or a contractor with only a few invoices and bills. I do want to mention that all of our plans are flexible, so you can always change plans if your business picks up. The next plan is our growing plan. It gives you full access to most of the features and power of Xero. You can create an unlimited number of invoices, quotes, and bills, and this plan includes cash coding, which actually lets you quickly reconcile lots of bank statement lines for cash payments in just a few clicks. The growing plan also has expense claims functionality, where money spent from a personal account can be reimbursed. This is ideal for businesses with high activity, like retail outlets, construction businesses, and consultants. Our most comprehensive plan is called the Established Plan. This is the plan that's included in your free trial. It includes all features we've already mentioned, with added support for working with multiple currency. It also includes some extra tools like Xero Projects, which is great for keeping track of work done on a job-by-job basis, like consulting projects. It also includes Xero Expenses, which is an upgraded version of the normal expense claims functionality that's included in the growing plan. This plan is perfect for businesses that use foreign currency bank accounts and create invoices and receive bills in different currencies. It also lets you track currency gains and losses, send invoices, raise bills, and accept payments in multiple currencies. It's also a good choice for businesses that need basic project accounting or that need more advanced expense claim reimbursement functionality. Once you know the plan you want to use, select it and click Continue to Add-ons. In some countries where Xero is used, there are additional tools that can be added into the Xero plan. In the US, all of our features are contained in one of the 3 plans that we just discussed. So this page will say there are no available add-ons regardless of which plan you choose. So just click Continue to Billing Account. You'll want to enter your business's billing address, and then click Continue to Review and Pay. Choose whether you'll pay by using direct debit, meaning the money will be drafted from your bank account each month, or using a debit or credit card. If you choose direct debit, you'll choose your bank and then log into online banking. Xero uses Stripe to collect these payments. If you choose to pay by card, just enter the card details, and once your payment method is set up, just click Confirm Purchase. As you go through and use Xero, from time to time, you might get stuck. You might have questions and you're not sure what to do or how to get help. And I want to make sure that you know how to get help when you're using Xero. In Xero, in the top right-hand corner, you will always find this question mark icon. From here, you can get some suggestions about things that you might be doing on the page that you're in Xero. So things like change the default invoice template. If that's what I need, I would just click here. I can search from here if I want to. There's a lot of stuff going on here, but the thing that I want to draw your attention to is right here where it says go to Xero Central. Xero Central is a one-stop shop for all things related to Xero, where you can get support and you can learn more things. On the tab that says support, this is where you're going to find how-to articles. I can scroll through here. I can see different courses. I can see different topics that I might want to be a part of. So let's say that I wanted to go into this topic and then just drill down into whatever it is that I want to know about. Add and approve bills, say. I would click on that and it's going to give me information about how to add a bill. If I get to the very bottom and I still have a question, I can click Contact Xero Support. This is going to let me reach out to the customer experience team and they can help you with any question that you have about Xero. So do not hesitate to reach out to them. If I go back to the top and I click Learning, this is where I'm going to be able to sign up for webinars and events in my area. If we have any of those, I can go through and check out any of the courses that are available to me as I'm learning Xero, and it's all going to be in Xero Central. And that brings us to pretty much the end. So now what? We talked about how to set up the organization, converting from a trial to a paid organization. And once you do that, you're going to want to start using the system. You're going to want to go in and start getting familiar with it. Now we have in Xero Central, we have a thing called the Getting Started Guide. It's got more information on things like sending invoices and quotes, paying bills, reconciling bank accounts, all that day-to-day stuff. A link to that guide is included in the handout, so I definitely recommend checking that out going forward. And if you are looking for a Xero certified accountant or bookkeeper to help you as you go forward with your business, you can check out Xero's advisor directory. You can find this on Xero.com under the For Small Business tab. Choose the thing that says find an accountant or a bookkeeper. You can find an accountant or a bookkeeper in your area that specializes in your industry and start working with them if that's a thing that you want to do. And they already know Xero, and that really is the end. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this webinar. We really do hope it has helped you get started with Xero, and we hope we see you in another training soon.